Welcome to the Tim Booker channel, where wisdom deserves to be shared. Wishing you an enjoyable listening experience. Today, we are going to delve into the fifth discipline, subtitled The Art and Practice of the Learning Organization. This book is a highly regarded classic in the field of management, hailed by the Financial Times as one of the greatest business books ever written. The author of this book, Peter M. Senge, has been recognized by Business Week as one of the top 10 management gurus globally. Some even consider him the most influential management thinker after Peter Drucker. Why has this book gained such popularity? I believe it's because it presents a crucial proposition. The proposition is that the key to an organization's long-term competitiveness lies in its ability to learn faster and better than its competitors. Thus, the author introduces the concept of a learning organization. But what exactly is a learning organization? It's not about organizing regular training sessions or classes to teach business knowledge. Instead, it's about fostering a culture where every individual within the organization is enthusiastic about learning and possesses the ability to learn. Moreover, when these individuals collaborate, they inspire each other, help one another, innovate together, experiment, and evolve collectively, an organization that can self-grow. So, if you can create or join such an organization, everyone involved would undoubtedly take great pride in it, wouldn't they? However, achieving this goal may not be easy. How can you build such a powerful learning organization? That's what we're going to discuss today. We'll address it from 3 angles. 1. What are the 5 disciplines referred to in the title? 2. Why is the 5th discipline particularly important? 3. How can we apply the 5th discipline in our work and daily lives? The book we're discussing is called The 5th Discipline, so what are the first 4 disciplines? What problems do these disciplines aim to address? That's the first question we need to tackle when reading this book. In fact, these 5 disciplines are all about answering the question we mentioned earlier: how can we create a highly effective learning organization? The author believes that achieving this goal requires mastery in 5 areas: personal mastery, mental models, shared vision, team learning, and systems thinking. Let's break down what each of these means. 1. Personal mastery. This discipline focuses on individuals. If an organization wants to be highly learning-oriented, every team member must possess learning capability. The first step in making someone a good learner is to ignite their motivation. Personal mastery means having the desire to continually improve oneself, having the passion and drive to learn. For instance, if you're dissatisfied with your professional skills or management abilities, you need the motivation to invest time and effort in continuous improvement. Many people may say they want things like having their mother-in-law move out or working fewer hours, but they often fail to pursue what they truly desire. Shifting from complacency and avoidance of problems to a mindset of continuous self-improvement is the first skill we need to cultivate. 2. Mental models. Mental models refer to the way each person perceives and interprets the world. Different individuals have different views and explanations of the world. Our actions and behaviors are influenced by our mental models. For example, your understanding of the retail industry may be vastly different from Jack Ma's understanding of the same industry because your mental models differ. If you keep taking the same actions and expect different results, that's considered being mentally rigid. To truly change our behavior and enhance our learning ability, we must change our mental models. Only when we alter the way we understand and perceive the world can we genuinely learn and progress. 3. Shared vision. Shared vision shifts the perspective to the team level. It's about fostering enthusiasm for learning within the team. It means aligning everyone's hearts toward a common goal. A team with a shared vision is more motivated to learn together. Remember, being a group is different from being a team. A team has its hearts aligned toward a common purpose. Without that alignment, team members will work independently, causing internal conflicts. So, for a team to learn effectively, every member must share common goals and visions. Many companies display slogans like corporate vision or shared goals, but these often end up as mere catchphrases. To make a shared vision work, it must be genuinely accepted and supported by every individual. Achieving this is not easy. It requires extensive communication, consensus building, and finding directions that everyone can agree on. 4. Team learning. Once everyone agrees on a shared vision, they must possess the ability to turn that vision into reality. Often, teams consist of individuals with high IQs, but the collective IQ of the team is low. Team learning aims to address this issue. It involves making sure that everyone in the team can articulate their mental models, communicate how they think and approach problems, inspire and challenge each other, and collectively learn and progress. The first 4 disciplines may seem complex, but they all boil down to 2 core tasks: igniting passion through clear vision and training everyone in the team to reflect and learn. For individuals, it's about having the motivation for personal mastery and improving mental models. For teams, it's about creating shared visions and enabling team learning. These 4 disciplines form the foundation for individual and collective learning and improvement. You might be thinking, hey, these first 4 disciplines seem quite comprehensive when it comes to learning. If a team can master these, it would undoubtedly be exceptional. So why do we need the 5th discipline? That's where we get into the core and essence of this book. The 5th discipline is systems thinking. What is systems thinking? It's essentially a way of understanding the world. Traditional education often teaches us to break down complex problems into smaller ones. While this simplifies complex issues, it also robs us of a crucial ability: seeing the bigger picture and understanding problems from a global and macro perspective. We tend to get stuck in local problem solving and fail to see the interconnectedness of systems due to this simplistic cause and effect thinking. Systems thinking challenges this conventional view of the world, emphasizing that everything is interconnected, and it operates as a system of mutual influences. To truly change our behaviors and perspectives, we must possess the ability to think systematically. So, even though we've introduced systems thinking as the 5th discipline, in a sense, it forms the foundation for the effectiveness of the previous 4 disciplines. The level of our systems thinking skills determines how effectively the first 4 disciplines can be implemented. This is why, although there are 5 disciplines discussed in the book, it's titled the 5th discipline to emphasize its significance. I should note that today, we've provided a concise overview of the first 4 disciplines and what problems they address. In the book, each discipline is extensively explored, but due to time constraints, we've focused on the most essential and core aspects. If the opportunity arises, we can delve into the specifics of the other 4 disciplines in the future. Now, let's direct our attention to the most crucial and important part of this discussion: systems thinking. This is the second topic we're going to explore. As mentioned earlier, when building a learning organization, the 5th discipline, systems thinking, is pivotal. Why is that? The answer is quite simple. Without the ability to think systematically, we often encounter problems in life without realizing their root causes. For example, we frequently witness interdepartmental conflicts within companies. The marketing department blames the production department for failing to achieve sales targets, attributing it to subpar products. The production department, in turn, blames the design department for inadequate product design, and the design department points fingers at marketing for misguided suggestions. This blame game creates friction, with each party believing they are blameless and the problem lies elsewhere. Similarly, in our work, we encounter individuals who may appear diligent in completing assigned tasks but lack initiative. They claim they are simply doing their job and fulfilling their duties. These everyday challenges often leave us wondering where the problem lies. Superficially, these issues may seem like communication problems or a lack of individual motivation. However, upon deeper examination, we discover that the root cause is often the absence of systems thinking, a way of viewing the world and problems. Some tend to treat organizations as machines, believing they exist for control and task accomplishment. Each individual is like a cog in the machine. Despite the rhetoric of putting people first and caring for employees in many companies, the reality is often more mechanical. For instance, that less proactive employee mentioned earlier views themselves as merely a cog. As long as they fulfill their designated role, they consider everything else beyond their concern. All these issues stem from a mindset that treats the world and work as if managing a machine. This mindset has 2 fundamental problems: it's short-sighted, focusing on simple cause and effect relationships, and it has a narrow perspective, missing the bigger picture. The 5th discipline, in fact, aims to address these 2 problems and help us improve. Why do I say this? Let's take an example. First, let's consider how systems thinking can break free from this simplistic cause and effect, short-term thinking. In 1933, the United States was in the midst of the Great Depression, with economic turmoil, millions unemployed, and national gold reserves of less than $6 billion while facing demands for $41 billion in deposits. As a result, banks were closing in droves, and people were queuing up at bank doors to withdraw their money, fearing they might lose it if they waited too long. This bank run was widespread across the nation. On March 4, 1933, the heart of American finance, the New York Stock Exchange, officially closed and collapsed. Interestingly, on the very same day, Franklin D. Roosevelt was inaugurated as President of the United States. If you were President Roosevelt at that moment, how would you handle this chaotic situation and prevent panic and bank runs? I can't say how you'd do it, but Roosevelt didn't simply ban bank runs or tell people to trust the government blindly, taking a simplistic cause and effect approach. Instead, he employed systems thinking, even if he might not have used that term. On March 12, 1933, he addressed the entire nation in a radio broadcast, famously known as the fireside chat. In this first chat, he explained that when you deposit money in a bank, it doesn't sit idly in a vault, it's put to work. For instance, it's used to provide loans to businesses, making society's economic wheels turn. Roosevelt assured everyone that depositing money in the bank, especially in the banks that were to be reorganized, was safer than keeping it under their mattresses. Roosevelt's explanation didn't start from specific problems but from how banks operate and what happens to our money inside the system, addressing the problem from a systemic perspective. The result was a gain in the trust of the American people. The next day, as some banks reopened, there was a rush of people wanting to redeposit their money. This approach doesn't tackle problems at their surface but looks at them from within the system in which they occur. This is a shared thinking approach among many outstanding historical figures. We often say that the way we think determines the way we act, and the level of our cognition determines the effectiveness of our actions. Systems thinking is an important tool for elevating our cognition. If our companies can think at this level when it comes to competition, their competitiveness will be significantly enhanced. So, the fifth discipline, systems thinking, is crucial, offering us substantial help. This leads us to the final question: how can we master and apply systems thinking? As we discussed in previous segments, perseverance is a habit that can be cultivated. This book emphasizes the need to cultivate cognitive habits, and changing the way we think about problems takes time. It's unlikely to be mastered proficiently in just a year or two. However, if we know that there are methods and tools for training systems thinking, we can accelerate this process significantly. Fortunately, the fifth discipline provides us with methods and tools. Let's begin with methods before discussing tools. The method for practicing systems thinking is simple: when you think, seek relationships. Typically, we tend to seek causes when thinking about problems. Systems thinking, on the other hand, involves examining the relationships between elements within a system. For example, when you wonder why a car starts and accelerates, conventional thinking might attribute it to pressing the gas pedal. This is a cause and effect mindset. However, systems thinking sees the car as a system with components like speed, throttle, and brakes interconnected. In this view, the more you press the throttle, the faster the car goes, forming a relationship. Systems thinking analyzes all things by identifying the relationships between them to understand how the system operates. You might wonder if examining relationships for everything isn't overwhelming. Don't worry, the author simplifies this. Ultimately, there are only three types of relationships: positive feedback, negative feedback, and time delays. Positive feedback, like pressing the throttle leading to increased speed, represents a positive correlation: when A increases, B increases further. Negative feedback, as with brakes slowing down the car when applied, signifies a stabilizing effect: A increases, B decreases. These are relatively easy to grasp. What about time delays? Time delays are significant in systems thinking due to our brain's cognitive process. Our brains struggle to learn when there's a long time or space gap between action and feedback. For instance, the environmental impact of throwing away a trash bag may not be felt for hundreds of years, making it challenging for us to prioritize environmental concerns. Think about when you were in school: why did teachers give regular quizzes and tests? To provide timely feedback for effective learning. Considering this, even a 10-second delay, like waiting for hot water after turning on the faucet, can be quite inconvenient. Many of us have experienced the frustration of trying to balance hot and cold water to get the right temperature, repeatedly adjusting it. Thus, understanding delays is crucial in systems thinking. So, now that we've explored these three types of relationships in systems thinking, positive feedback, negative feedback, and time delays. They provide us with valuable insights when analyzing various aspects of our company's family life, and more. However, new questions have arisen. You see, even though we now have these three tools for analyzing problems, making things seem straightforward, it appears that every issue still requires a significant amount of analysis. The author acknowledges this concern, but insists that it's not as serious as it might seem. Why? Well, as you work with these tools more, you'll realize that the world operates in patterns and templates. Many things that may appear different are essentially just wearing different disguises. From a systemic perspective, they repeat. Once you've grasped these recurring templates, you won't need to start from scratch with every issue. This is somewhat akin to the relationship between basic arithmetic operations and mathematical formulas. Consider addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. They represent relationships between numbers. With these fundamental tools and methods, you can solve many problems. Yet, behind many mathematical problems lies a common approach. In such cases, you discover that the template for solving mathematical problems is the mathematical formula. The next time you encounter a similar problem, you won't need to start from scratch, you can directly apply the formula. Systems thinking operates in a similar way: positive feedback, negative feedback, and time delays, like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division in mathematics. In systems thinking, these are akin to the fundamental formulas of the system. If we can master these crucial fundamental models and apply them comprehensively, we can quickly use the systems thinking approach to address a wide range of complex problems and phenomena in our lives. Among various models, two are considered particularly important, ones that require mastery. These are the two essential tools of systems thinking that we'll discuss today: the limits to growth model and the shifting the burden model. What is the limits to growth model? It means that when something begins to operate and grow rapidly, you should be aware that such rapid growth will inevitably lead to side effects, slowing down the system, either reaching a ceiling or even crashing. This concept sounds simple, but you'll find that in our daily lives, we often fail to apply this model to analyze problems, resulting in many mistakes. For instance, suppose you become well known and in high demand due to your excellent public speaking skills. As a result, your fees increase, and your income improves. Naturally, you'd be delighted. However, if you understand the systems thinking approach, you'd realize that your growing fame as a public speaker could lead to side effects. It could become a bottleneck for your speaking engagements and income. Why? Because with increased fame, you'll spend more time networking and speaking, leaving less time for learning new things. Eventually, you'll find yourself speaking about the same old topics, becoming dissatisfied with your own expertise, and your audience will miss out on fresh content, causing you to lose your fame. Even matters of romance can sometimes be solved using systems thinking. At the beginning of a relationship, there's mutual attraction, increasing understanding, and the relationship gets better. But as you get to know each other better, you discover each other's flaws and quirks, realizing that reality doesn't always match your initial expectations. This can lead to conflicts, and over time, the relationship may not be as good as it was at the beginning. Many similar situations in life can be explained using the limits to growth model. Now, you might wonder, what's the use of this limits to growth model? Does it just mean recognizing that relationships might end? Not at all. The primary purpose of mastering this model in systems thinking is to help us better address problems. In other words, when we approach problems from a systems thinking perspective, the solution isn't just about tackling the surface of the problem. Take, for instance, a quarrel between two lovers. How do you resolve it? Typically, people either compromise or agree not to speak too much. However, from a systems thinking viewpoint, the crucial aspect to address is changing the negative feedback. What is this negative feedback? It's the conflict arising when two people who know each other well and have expectations based on that knowledge discover discrepancies. How do you change negative feedback? It involves adjusting your perspective on love, understanding that no one is perfect, and real love entails mutual understanding, tolerance, shared values, and striving together. Without addressing this core issue, all other efforts are in vain. Saying fewer words doesn't fundamentally resolve the conflict, it merely delays it. Similarly, when you notice that your audience is diminishing, and your income is declining, the solution isn't to intensify marketing or offer discounts. Instead, it's about changing the negative feedback. In this case, what's affecting you is your knowledge reaching its limits, you're living off your past expertise. To remedy this, you need to enhance your cognitive abilities, which will drive the overall system's healthy development. You see, with the systems thinking model and problem-solving approach, your perspective and point of entry become entirely different. The second fundamental model is shifting the burden. Often in our lives, when we encounter a problem, we tend to address the immediate issue without realizing that there might be a deeper underlying cause. This deeper issue is often more challenging to resolve, so we opt to solve the surface-level problem first, leaving the underlying issue unaddressed. This is what we refer to as shifting the burden. For example, when you're under immense work-related stress, and you choose to relieve that stress by getting yourself drunk, you're essentially shifting the burden. The original problem might require you to enhance your work skills, but because that's a complex task, you opt for the simpler solution of getting drunk to forget your stress temporarily. Another example is in the workplace when a new employee struggles with a task. Instead of focusing on helping the new employee grow their skills, a senior colleague or project manager might step in to complete the task themselves. In this case, they're not addressing the new employee's growth problem but are merely completing the task, thus shifting the burden. From a systems thinking perspective, the shifting the burden model consists of two negative feedback loops. One loop is treating the symptoms, like using alcohol to relieve stress, while the other is addressing the root cause, which involves recognizing that you need to invest time in improving yourself. However, the latter is often more challenging and less straightforward, so people tend to choose the easier path. But if we understand systems thinking and grasp the shifting the burden model, we would realize that when a problem arises, it's essential to look at its true essence and choose to tackle the deeper underlying reasons to achieve breakthroughs. There's a widely circulated saying, when life offers you two paths, choose the harder one. From a problem-solving perspective, this means confronting the root causes rather than just addressing the surface issues. Systems thinking encourages us to select the path that addresses the fundamental issues. You can make temporary fixes, but if you don't address the core problems, it will only accumulate stress and lead to more significant troubles in the future. This is what the author refers to as the shifting the burden model. To summarize, the 5 disciplines are crucial for enhancing our team's learning capabilities. From a personal perspective, it involves self-transcendence and the continuous correction of our mental models. From a team perspective, it means establishing a shared vision and fostering team learning. However, self-transcendence, mental models, shared vision, and team learning are, to some extent, built upon the foundation of the 5th discipline, systems thinking. Systems thinking is not about simplistic, local, cause-and-effect thinking but about adopting a global perspective where everything is interconnected. Its significance lies in helping us quickly identify the true causes of problems. Finally, in the process of cultivating the skill of systems thinking, you need to master one method and 2 tools. The method involves recognizing that all relationships between elements boil down to 3 types: positive feedback, negative feedback, and time delays. Using these 3 relationships, you can analyze numerous issues. Additionally, you can also leverage existing models to facilitate faster problem analysis. Among these models, the 2 most crucial ones are the limits to growth model and the shifting the burden model. If you and your team commit to training in these 5 disciplines, your team's learning capabilities will undoubtedly improve significantly. That concludes today's content. Congratulations, you've completed another book. Thank you for your support and attention. Please subscribe to the Tim Booker Channel audiobook channel. Like and share it with your family and friends. Wisdom is worth spreading, leading to a brighter future. Thank you, and goodbye.